What's up? I'm Alex from learnbeachvolleyballfast.com. A few months ago I made a video on ideas on how to practice beach volleyball in the off-season, and I thought now it's time to make the second part of that video series. Nowadays the sun occasionally shines on us here, but it's still gonna be a while before these courts are actually playable. In case you haven't seen the first video that I made before, I would recommend you watch that before you watch this one, because some of the ideas in this video are gonna be sort of further developments of the ideas in the first video. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so the first video had 5 tips, which means that the first tip for this video will actually be tip number 6. So tip number 6 is indoor 2 versus 2 volleyball. But wait, before you run away and think this is stupid, why do I even need a tip for that? I do have some thoughts about 2 versus 2 indoor volleyball on an indoor court, if you can have access to that in the winter or in the off season. So indoor volleyball, there's different court sizes in beach and indoor. Beach is 8 meters times 8 meters per side, and indoor is 9 meters times 9 meters, so it's bigger. The court is also harder, which means that at least I haven't played indoor so much that I'm trained in how to dive on indoor floors, because the diving is probably quite different from beach volleyball. In beach volleyball you can really jump and kind of land in the sand. Almost doesn't really matter how you land, you will still not hurt yourself. And I don't necessarily think it's a good idea to, or I haven't done it so I don't know, but maybe a beach volleyball player doesn't need to spend the time to develop the skills of how to dive on indoor floor. This is actually why I'm going to propose that if you do play 2-on-2 beach volleyball, so-called, on an indoor court, I would actually propose you have an even smaller court than the beach court. Maybe you should have a 7x7 meter court, or 6x6, or maybe even 5x5. A much smaller court that will actually change a few things in the game. It will, on indoor courts you're also faster than in the sand. And you have a smaller court. Which means that now all of a sudden, if you have a smaller court, you have created a game where you effectively don't really need to dive and jump and land on the floor and hurt yourself. Which is also going to change some things, which is that shooting is not going to be as effective as an attack, and spiking is going to be more effective. I'm not saying that this is the ultimate way to practice for beach volleyball. I'm just saying that if you want to make a game that will probably be as fun as possible on hardwood court without learning how to dive, it's probably going to be 2-on-2 on a small court and on hard floor. Play with a beach ball, it makes the game a little bit softer, a little bit more forgiving, and a little bit more fun, possibly. To make the lines, you can take tape and you can just put small pieces of tape. You'll see in the next tip what I actually mean, because we did that on the court we created there. Okay, tip number 7, you don't need a net for. You actually just need floor and a wall. But you can still make somewhat volleyball-like games happen with this. So this is kind of volleyball combined with squash. I'll just show you 2 videos. We did 2 different combinations. One of them is collaborative, which means that we are basically playing against ourselves and we just try to keep it alive as long as possible. And then the other version that we played is a one-on-one competitive way of playing it. On the one-on-one competitive, we tried some different rules. We tried some one-arm touches to get in a few more of those. We tried some high passes to make sure that we could control those, etc., etc. You can be creative with the rules, but yeah, you'll see what I mean. Another small game we did was one-on-one, one-arm touches. This is basically the court, this is the back line, and that's the net. So, show me. It has to go over the net, and then you do 3 one-arm touches. One has to be with the left. Tip number 8, develop a competitive mindset in another sport. So anyone who has watched me a little bit more than average knows that I think becoming really great at beach volleyball is a multifaceted mission that needs a lot of different parts taken care of. One of these parts is to develop a competitive mindset, to become a good competitor. I believe you can take your off season and pick any sport and learn to be competitive in that sport. What is actually pretty cool about taking a different sport than beach volleyball is that you can completely slash all long-term plans that you might or might not have for a beach volleyball career. You can slash all the technique learning, etc., and just find another player, maybe a friend of yours, that is just as bad as you are on this new sport. And you can both go play the sport with your whatever default bad technique, but just be competitive. Because the thing with competitiveness is that it gives you an edge over people that are about the same level technically and physically, etc., in the sport as you are. So it kind of defeats the purpose to try to become competitive if you're playing against someone who's technically way ahead of you, because then you will just understand that, hey, I need to practice this sport to be able to beat this guy, which means that you're actually then developing more of yourself as a player in that sport rather than specifically developing the competitive mindset. I hope that makes sense. You can take another sport and just like hyper train that exact aspect of the sport, and then you can learn skills there, and then you can bring those into volleyball. How did I think back then when I was playing squash with my friend to win over him? Can I apply this to beach volleyball now? Etc. Tip number 9, study the sport. Use your off season to do mental work, intellectual work around the sport. Do video analysis, study YouTube videos, study courses about the sport, read books about the sport, discuss with people about concepts about the sport, etc. Yes, to be skilled, you need to both have knowledge, and then you need practice time to make that knowledge a part of you, a part of your body, and then those two combined together make you a good player. But you can do one of these parts, the knowledge searching part, you can do even without practicing. And quite often, actually, people are practicing the wrong things. People are putting in the work, they are putting in lots of hours, but what they are practicing, their fundamental ideas, might not be the perfect ones, and therefore they get subpar results. Some people say practice makes perfect. Some other people say perfect practice makes perfect. So use your off season to sharpen your tools, whether that's studying something that's already been created, hiring a coach, discussing with people, whatever. Do the mental work. Time for unplanned bonus tip. My dad just called me while I was recording this video, and he asked me, hey, do you want to go crow hunting? And I was like, I don't know. But then I thought for a second. I am big in this doing random things sometimes, doing things that you're not used to, and learning stuff from that and bringing that to whatever you're doing normally, getting better at beach volleyball. Because a lot of times you can get fresh perspectives on the things that will lead to new ideas and insights. So bonus tip is use your off season to sometimes say yes to things that you normally wouldn't say yes to. So I'm off to go crow hunting. I'll record the rest of the video later. See ya.